When it comes to cars, I think I'm pretty easy to please. Give me something that's fun, easy to drive in the city, and if you can make it cute too, why not? Well, this BYD Seagull ticks all of those boxes, plus it's an EV, an affordable one too. And being a BYD, it's got a lot of tech, and we're gonna check that out and a little bit more today. Let's go!
Designed for urban dwellers seeking efficiency without too much compromise on those modern features, the BYD Seagull stands out in the compact EV segment, offering advanced technology at an accessible price point. It's a stylish mini EV inside and out, but let's dive into its tech first. Inside, the Seagull has a modest but feature-packed setup for what it is. There's a 7-inch digital instrument cluster that provides essential driving information like speed, range, and safety alerts. Front and center is the 10.1-inch infotainment display that, you guessed it, rotates between portrait and landscape. It supports wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto.
Since this video talks a lot about the tech of the BYD Seagull, I figured it'd be a fun little segment to show you guys what you can do or how to operate the infotainment system, since it is a little bit different than what you might be used to. So starting with the home screen. Now this is pretty basic. You do have easy to figure out controls here. You have 3 circular dials, I guess. They're not dials, but 3 circles on the home screen, one for navigation. Now this is the built-in navigation and it's not yet available here in the Philippines, so I don't know if that's going to be updated, but I also always use Android Auto anyway, so it's either Google Maps or Waze that I use. So the built-in navigation maybe for some, but it's not for me, but it's there, very prominent. And then you also have controls for whatever your music controls. So I'm always on Spotify right now. I'm not going to play it for copyright reasons, but since it is on Spotify, I can control it from the screen here, but of course you can always control it with the media controls on the steering wheel. We'll look at that in just a little bit. Now next to Spotify, you do have your radio controls, something I also don't use very often. Now just sitting at the bottom here are your air conditioning controls. I have heard quite a few people who've used BYD or who've tried BYD vehicles and they kind of get confused about the air conditioning controls because they can't see it. It's not on any of the physical buttons, at least not extensively. And that's totally understandable. You just have to get used to these new UIs, especially since nothing is standardized yet and every manufacturer has their own spin on what the UI is. Now for BYD, you do have your air conditioning controls on the bottom there. You have your fan speed here, you have circulation, which vents you want to turn on, and the temperature as well. But if you do want to go more in depth, just no, just tap the button in the center and you will be greeted with this screen. So this can be fixed by you as a driver, but it is not that safe, so it would be something maybe your passenger prince or princess would be fixing to get comfortable. And you essentially have the same controls here. Now, but let me show you something else. Let's go back to the home screen. Now one big tip, or one easy tip I guess I can give all of you who are trying to figure out these newfangled infotainment systems. Imagine you're operating a mobile phone. You don't have just one screen, you have more than one. And with the BYD, people kind of forget that you can swipe to the right to access everything else, that you aren't stuck on this home page. Now it's like your apps. These are your apps. They're not like your apps. These are your apps. So you can play around with that if you want. I'm not going to go too in depth with the settings here, but we are going to go back to the home screen because I have a few more things to show you. But starting with air conditioning controls, did you know you can just use gesture controls? Just use 3 fingers to increase and decrease the fan speed, and it's okay. Let's turn it down so you can hear me. The thing with this is that it's just not that refined, not fine. So you could want to go to 5, but you'd end up at 4, especially if you're in a rush and if you just want to do 7. I guess that's the easiest, but or 2 or 1. Let's do some more gesture controls. Swipe up, and you have your most or recently accessed apps. If you compare it to your mobile phone, it'll be whatever background app is running, and you can already see I've got a bunch on here. You can close it. I don't know if that has any effect like how it does on a phone, so I just kind of keep it on just so in any case I could access these quickly if I need to. More often than not though, I don't. I just need my Android Auto Apple CarPlay and all that, and I'm pretty fine. Up top here, if you have your phone connected, you do have notifications ready. My phone isn't connected right now, so my notifications aren't pushing through, but if you want to see your latest messages or latest notifications from your apps, from your phone, from the car, they all are up here. So when you swipe down, you will have access to probably the most used functions of this vehicle, including the brightness of the instrument cluster, the brightness of the center screen. I'm not at full brightness, let's push that up. The volume levels of your navigation and your media, so there are two separate controls for that. And of course, you have everything else here. And then I guess that's pretty much what we have here in terms of how to operate, or what are the controls and stuff. But let me show you, I guess, what it's famous for. It rotates. So there are two ways to rotate the screen. You can use the button on the display here, or you can use the one on the steering wheel that will do the same thing. But in all honesty, while it is very, very cool, I had no need to switch orientation from portrait to landscape or landscape to portrait in any time that I was driving. I guess it's really just a personal preference, because the portrait actually looks very good, but it doesn't work on Android Auto. I'm not so sure in Apple CarPlay, but the portrait orientation doesn't work with Android Auto, so you will be stuck to the landscape, which again, totally fine with, doesn't really matter in my case. Now, right below this touch display, we do have a bunch of buttons on here, very minimal, but let's just go through it real quick so you know what you're up against. So on the leftmost part here, this is your gear shifter knob, I guess, yeah, and it was actually pretty intuitive to use. I'm honestly surprised at how easy it was, or it didn't really have an adjustment period compared to the dial one, the big round dial. I don't like that too much, but this one is actually pretty fine. You will see not a Prindle, just a earned RMD, because this doesn't have a low, and the parking button, the park button, is actually on the left side here. So if you want to go into park, don't forget to press this. This will engage the brakes so you don't move. Now, moving on, you do have your modes. I'm thankful that the modes are on here. You can go from eco to sport to normal. I was always on eco because, again, city driving, I just wanted to be safe. I don't need the sport. And then here, this is a roll, again, another rotary knob for your media controls, and when you push it, you will actually be turning off the system, but it's not really turned off. It's an always on display, and you still get to access some of the controls, especially air conditioning controls are right there, sensor and present. Now let's quickly jump to the wheel so I can show you some things here. On the steering wheel, you do have pretty basic controls, but I just want to go through it because we're here and might as well, right? So now on your right side are all the media controls. So this is for your phone calls if you want to pick up or drop a call. The microphone button here is for both BYD Assistant, which I will show you in a little bit. That'll be the last thing I show. So again, this microphone will activate either BYD's Assistant or Google Assistant, or whatever assistant you're using. I'm assuming Siri as well. Again, don't really have an Apple phone to try right now, an iPhone to try it out with. So media controls again. So if you want to move forward from your playlist or move back, that's all here. Volume is this knob right here that we saw a while ago. And then mode down here is again just for media. It'll switch you from radio to Bluetooth to whatever your connected source is. And then on this button here, the last button, this is for information that you need to know at a glance, and it will come out here on the instrument cluster. If you want to switch out from your media controls, just press it and then just scroll, and you will see on the screen a couple of at a glance information, some car status things that you might want to know about the vehicle, including average speed, driving time, tire pressure on all 4 tires if you want to monitor that, even temperature, past 50 kilometer usage, your energy usage for the last 50 kilometers if you want to be more mathematic about it. And I guess that's about it. Now on the left side, again, we do have that button that rotates the display, but apart from that, you have your cruise control settings here. Yeah, the BYD Seagull does have cruise control, which is pretty impressive for a tiny little thing, for an affordable tiny thing like this. Did I use it? No, because I didn't have time. I really had a short time with the BYD Seagull, so I used it mostly in the city, though we did take it out on the highway, but only used sport mode. We only got to try sport mode, and that was really fun. Kevin was not driving that. But yes, this is cruise control if you want it, if you need it, and it's adaptive, so you can set your distance and your speed all right here. So I guess that's it for this part of the video, because for everything else, I would like to think you'd want to find it out on your own if you are getting one, or you could go book a test drive and check it out yourself. It's always fun to find out new things on your own, just like how I would find out about the new things on this vehicle. But we've got a lot more to get to, so let's get right on that. I forgot to show you one more thing, something I said I would show you guys, and it is the assistant, the BYD assistant. Now, in any case you find yourself lost within the settings, or you want to do something and you can't figure out how, just ask the car. We are in 2025 and that is possible now. So if, for example, you want to know what you can access through the voice commands, all you have to go is, "Hi BYD, what can you do for me?"
Here are some commands you can try.
And then it'll give you some commands on what you can do with the assistant depending on your needs. So for example, you can zoom in and out of the map. You can
I can't access this
Wait,
navigation
okay,
feature.
wait.
Please operate
Okay,
it manually.
wait. So there are also controls if you want to do your phone, the vehicle controls, turning down the fan speed and stuff like that. Play music, your latest music, even stuff with the map. So that being said, hi BYD, I really like you.
Sorry, I don't think I understand.
Oh, okay.
Now, as modern things go, this EV will soon need an update. Luckily, the Seagull does have 4G connectivity, which can deliver over-the-air updates, meaning you can practically update anywhere and you won't have to go to a dealership. For comfort and convenience, you get automatic climate control, a decent 4-speaker audio system, 10-watt wireless charging pad, plus a front and rear USB Type-A and Type-C ports, alongside the standard 12-volt accessory outlet. The whole cabin experience, whether driver or passenger, is further elevated with these very well-executed two-tone leather seats. But of course, vehicles aren't all about comfort and convenience. Safety is also a top priority, and the Seagull does come with a solid set of safety features, including a rear-view camera, automatic headlights, 6 airbags, and adaptive cruise control, the last one being pretty uncommon for a vehicle in this segment. You've also got the standard set of safety features, including traction and stability control, hill start and hold control, tire pressure monitors, and more.
Like many of BYD's vehicles, you can also connect the Seagull to the companion app, the BYD app. And here you have functions like remote starting the car, locating it, checking your charging status, and a lot of things like that. Unfortunately, this was something we weren't able to test because since this was a review unit, a test unit, we weren't allowed to pair the car to the app. Oh, and apart from your keys in the app, you can also unlock the Seagull with the NFC card that comes with it, like a lot of BYD's vehicles also. Unfortunately, another thing we couldn't test because BYD doesn't lend out those NFC cards. Understandably, they are pretty easy to lose.
Let's now move from the inside to out, starting with the heart of what makes this vehicle run, BYD's e-Platform 3.0.
Simplifying things here a little bit. So the e-Platform 3.0 is built exclusively for EVs, for electric vehicles, unlike many manufacturers who jump off the designs of their gas-powered vehicles. Now, at the heart of the e-Platform 3.0 is that famous Blade battery, which has proven itself to be durable, efficient, and of course, powerful. Now, another piece of the puzzle is the 8-in-1 powertrain, which is one of the most efficient in the industry right now. Plus, the whole platform is built with smart tech integration in mind, meaning we have those over-the-air updates, that 4G connectivity that help keep BYD's vehicles, not just the Seagull, they help keep the vehicles future-ready or even future-proof.
In terms of performance, the BYD is a zippy little hatchback that can supposedly achieve 100 kilometers per hour in about 13 seconds. It doesn't sound much like on paper, but in real-world driving, that instant torque makes it feel livelier than expected. Acceleration is smooth and responsive, though power does start to taper off at higher speeds. Steering is light and comfortable, with a tight turning radius that makes it perfect for navigating the busy streets of Metro Manila. Its regenerative braking is also one of the least intrusive I've experienced.
It's not at all abrupt and gives you a gentle slowdown, but it is enough to sometimes make you feel like you're doing one-pedal driving.
For range, the Seagull's 30 kilowatt-hour battery claims about 300 kilometers, but driving it around the city and even a quick trip out, I got around 200 kilometers before hitting 10%. So with that came my next challenge, charging. Since I live in an apartment building, I had to use a public charging station. Thankfully, it does use a CCS2 plug, which is relatively easier to find here in the metro. I used a 22 kilowatt Evo public charger, and topping up from 10 to 100 took about 4 to 5 hours.
So the BYD Seagull comes with a CCS2 wall charger, and it looks something like this. So it has a 3-prong socket here at the end, and this is the butt. Since this is also a full EV, it has V2L capabilities like a lot of other EVs out there. So V2L means vehicle to load, which essentially means you can turn your car into a big old power bank. And yes, BYD does supply you with the V2L cable right here. This is the one that goes inside the car, see the CCS2 plug, and yep, this is your extension cord where you can charge your other things. I wasn't able to try it on this model, but I have seen V2L in real life and so useful in a pinch, especially in the Philippines where there are a lot of blackouts, a lot of power outages, and this will come in useful. Even if it's not like a disaster thing, maybe if you're just camping or you just need some sort of power, or as simple as you don't have charge for your phone or laptop, I would use my car to charge my phone or my laptop, because why not? I paid for this functionality, didn't I?
Finally, before we wrap up, we can't not talk about this sleek interior. If it looks a little bit like a Lambo up front, you're on the nose, since this was designed by former Lamborghini head honcho Wolfgang Egger. You can see the inspiration on its 16-inch alloy wheels as well. This sprout green Seagull will probably be the most common color you'll see on the road, but if you prefer something more subtle, it does come in 2 other colors. At the back, we have a full-width LED bar, which is becoming a popular choice among modern vehicles, and here it definitely adds to that futuristic look. Now, if you're in the market for a starter EV, the BYD Seagull gives you plenty of reasons to consider it. And if tech is a priority, this little hatch isn't lacking in that department at all, whether it's for the driver or passengers.
Personally, even if I didn't spend too much time with it, I've come to love the BYD Seagull. And it's not just because of my affinity for small cars or the fact that I do like electric vehicles in general. No, it's because of what it's trying to be in its segment. It's a good vehicle all around. It's got an undeniably eye-catching design both inside and out. For performance, you're given what you're expected and even a little bit more. And let's not forget that it's an efficient vehicle, which is what you want for a city dweller. And the cherry on top is that price tag. All in all, a very well thought out package in my opinion.